hyperbole and consequences. If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung round their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. Woe to the world because of the things that cause people to stumble. Such things must come, but woe to the person through whom they come. If your hand or your foot causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life maimed or crippled than to have 2 hands or 2 feet and be thrown into eternal fire. And if your eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life with 1 eye than to have 2 eyes and be thrown into the fire of hell. Tristan writes, when I was growing up, my dad had numerous phrases that would annoy me. This house is lit up like a Christmas tree. Money doesn't grow on trees. And if your friend put their hand in the fire, would you put in yours? The one that used to infuriate me more than any other, though, was, how many hundreds of times have I told you not to exaggerate? Now I'm older, and preaching and writing is what I do for a living, I realise the dramatic importance of hyperbole. Exaggeration is not always a good thing, and can even lead us to deceit or lies. But as long as we recognise that in this technique is being used, it can be helpful and effective. Even as a child, I knew that money didn't literally grow on trees, but the phrase taught me something about the valuing of not squandering what we have. I never literally saw a friend put his hand into a fire, but the phrase taught me to resist peer pressure. Leaving my bedroom light on doesn't literally look like dozens of sparkling lights on a Christmas tree, but the phrase helped me to recognise the impact that wasting electricity has on the environment. Today's reading is graphically violent if we take it literally. People with millstones tied around their neck getting thrown into the sea, or having their eyes plucked out and their hands and feet cut off. Jesus, though, came from a Jewish writing and speaking tradition that was steeped in the technique of hyperbole. You are altogether beautiful, my darling. There is no flaw in you, asserts the Song of Songs. I'm sure Solomon's beloved was gorgeous, but even the very best of us have a couple of flaws. By Jesus' time, hyperbole, metaphor and pictorial language were techniques used by rabbis, the teachers of the day. Jesus, though, had a particular way of employing these techniques effectively to grab his audience's attention, or to shock them into recognising the deep truth he was asserting. As G.K. Chesterton put it, Christ had even a literary style of his own. The diction used by Christ is quite curiously gigantesque. It is full of camels leaping through needles and mountains hurled into the sea. In using the technique of hyperbole, Jesus didn't want us to take him literally. After all, the literal fulfilment of today's reading wouldn't achieve the desired goal anyway. One of my closest and oldest friends has been blind since he was a teenager, and I remember once discussing this passage with him. Believe me, Tristan, he said, sipping his pint of beer, tearing someone's eyes out won't stop them lusting. Well, this shouldn't be taken literally. Jesus' hyperbolic statements should still be taken with utmost seriousness. Today's passage teaches us something radical about God's will and how our ways should be transformed by following him. Everything we do, Jesus is telling us, has profound effects on both others and ourselves. Violence, prejudice, greed, selfishness, and objectifying others. They all have unhealthy consequences. Likewise, our deeply held opinions that we think are perfectly justifiable, but which actually go against Christ's call for love and care of all, have far-reaching consequences. At the heart of this passage, then, is a call to treat each other with respect, care, and kindness. Jesus' exaggerated statements are certainly not trying to make us feel guilty or to hate ourselves. Instead, they are trying to encourage us to recognise the radical nature of God's kingdom and the impact God's will should have on our way of thinking and acting. Our faith challenges us to look outside ourselves at the problems of the world around us, but also inside ourselves at our own personal issues, be they lust, anger, envy, hatred, selfishness, or material greed. How we think and how we act in our daily lives has an impact, not only on our own well-being, but also on other individuals, on our society, and on our environment. If we really want to challenge the world, we must start with challenging ourselves. And if we really want to change the world, we must start with changing ourselves. Reflection. Take some time to consider your innermost thoughts and emotions. Be open and truthful with yourself about any struggles you have to control. Lust, anger, envy, hatred, selfishness or greed. Be kind to yourself about your inclinations, but ask Jesus to help you transform yourself daily into his image.